There, buddy. All right. Rubio says at this point a ground invasion into Iran is not necessary. General Keith Kellogg on that. Let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. We're going to get to Iran here in a moment, but first we do have some breaking news off the top. One of the most elite athletes in the history of sports, golfer Tiger Woods, under arrest in Florida after rolling his Range Rover right near his own home on beautiful Jupiter Island. The Martins County Sheriff's Office says Woods tried to pass what appears to be a slow-moving construction-type vehicle just maybe a mile or two from his house when he clipped it and rolled his SUV, which is, you can see there just in the distance of that picture right in the middle on its side, his Range Rover. Officers saying Tiger was not injured but seemed impaired. He passed a breathalyzer with flying colors but refused a urine screening. Take a listen.
The individual driving that Land Rover was able to crawl out the passenger door of the car and was identified to be Mr. Tiger Woods. Our DUI investigators came to the scene here, and Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment. They did do some in-depth roadside tests, and when it was determined, he was placed under arrest and taken to the Martin County Jail. Mr. Woods did a breathalyzer test, blew triple zeros, but when it came time for us to ask for a urinalysis test, he refused, and so he's been charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test.
All right, so this is becoming an issue for him. It's unfortunate. This comes just 5 years after Woods was seriously injured. Remember this one, that crash, 2021, Southern California? He was lucky to survive that accident. And then back in Jupiter, 2017, that first DUI and this famous mugshot. It also comes just ahead of the Masters in about 2 weeks, as Tiger has just returned to golf again. Although President Trump actually revealed just yesterday that Tiger's not going to be playing in his favorite tournament. Here was the president's reaction just a bit ago from the tarmac on this accident. Take a listen.
I feel so badly. He's got some difficulty. There was an accident, and that's all I know. Very close friend of mine. He's an amazing person, amazing man, but some difficulty.
Sad stuff. They are good friends. Tiger played with Trump after his mom died. I remember that just maybe a year or two ago. Tiger's incredible golf career, and it has been amazing to watch, has been hampered by intense back pain and highly addictive pills that are used to treat that pain. We hope he's all right. He's still in jail as we stand tonight. All right, from that, we move on to our top story here tonight, and that is Iran and the potential of a ground invasion. The USS Tripoli has been moved into the region. It appears that massive ship is nearly in place, as the president has indicated he wants to finish this job in Iran completely, saying that yesterday. This is the Wall Street Journal reports that Hegseth, the Pentagon, looking at potentially adding 10,000 more troops in the Middle East, in addition to the 5,000 already deployed in the region. Trump just a bit ago speaking in Miami, giving Iran a big hint as to his intentions regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Watch.
They have to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Excuse me for this. I'm so sorry. Such a terrible mistake. The fake news will say he accidentally said, no. There's no accidents with me, not too many.
Again, feels a lot like Venezuela, what he has in store here in Iran, the Strait of Trump, huh? All right, this has become, as it seems clear now, a regime change operation. They're not going to allow the Iranian regime that tried to kill him twice, that's tried to terrorize the world for the last 47 years and has effectively terrorized the world for the last 47 years. They're not going to let that continue on. Not because that was the intention at the start, right, the regime change, but because it became a necessity. Iran refuses to surrender when it is beat. You don't usually see that. You don't usually see governments that are losing and lost willing to just die rather than give up power. Not common. But there is nothing quite like a jihadist regime. And again, the mentality, the ideology of suicide bombing comes into play. That's what we're dealing with here. Iran's regime plans to simply cower until the bombs stop. They have all the guns, right? and plan to slowly rebuild back into an even more angry, Western-hating Islamic regime that will always chase ballistic missiles, will always chase nuclear weapons. And think about how angry they're going to be at the United States, at the West, if this was ever allowed to rise from the ashes. So the president knows that can't happen. After 47 years of this nonsense, the White House wants this regime to end once and for all. They want a Western-facing Iran. They want a safer world without a terror state for our kids. Rubio right now saying that ground troops are just an option, not needed, just an option for Trump, an option that they want to have in place.
We are achieving all those objectives. We are ahead of schedule on most of them, and we can achieve them without any ground troops, without any. Now, in terms of why there's deployments, number one, the president has to be prepared for multiple contingencies, which I'm not going to discuss in the media. And again, I refer you to the Department of War, who will probably tell you the exact same thing. But we can achieve all of our objectives without ground troops, but we are always going to be prepared to give the president maximum optionality and maximum opportunity to adjust to contingencies should they emerge.
Well, the Secretary of State right there. And here was one more from the president just a couple hours ago. Take a listen.
Tonight, we're closer than ever to the rise of the Middle East that is finally free at last from Iranian terror, aggression, and nuclear blackmail. That's what's happened. 47 years, Iran has been known as the bully of the Middle East, but they are not the bully any longer. They're on the run.
All right, Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg joins us tonight. And, sir, it's good to have you back on. Ground troops, the big topic today, what everybody's talking about. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the Pentagon is weighing sending 10,000 more troops in addition to the thousands that are already staged in the region of Iran. Want to start with Rubio today saying that they're not necessary to achieve the goals that they have set out. But that doesn't mean they're not going to use them. What do you think we need to do here?
Yeah, Rob, it's good to be with you tonight. Thanks for having me. Look, you know, in the articulated goals of the administration, it was not one of them on regime change, but it's reached a point now they've done the first two things they wanted to do, which was, one, reduce their nuclear capability, and the second was basically eliminate the missile threat from Iran, which was the largest in the Middle East. But the only way you're going to get change, actually, and Marco Rubio said that the other day in a cabinet meeting, this is an enemy we've been fighting for over 40 years, and you really need a regime change. You can do that economically. You can do it with limited use of ground forces, not to go into Tehran or to go into Iran. You know, Iran is a huge country. When you look at the size of it, it's the same size as Spain and the UK and Germany, all combined, and they're not going to do that. But you can take out a couple of key strategic targets. One is Karg Island, which controls 90% of their oil, seize that, hold that, so it hurts their economic lifeline. And then the Strait of Hormuz, which you can open it up with ground troops by taking Bandar Abbas or the islands around that. So it's a limited incursion by ground troops. And I think that would be a way to do it. And hopefully that will lead to regime change one in the future. They haven't talked about that. Right. The president's been very good about what he's wanted to do. He's accomplished his missions. This just kind of sets the stage for eliminating a threat we've dealt with for the last 40-plus years.
And I understand that. Yeah, if we control the Strait of Hormuz with troops as you just described, that doesn't still stop the potential of them firing an errant drone and hitting a ship, right? The president talked about that yesterday. Even if we go 99% on Iran, that's still that 1%, that drone could hit a boat and take out, a $500 million, oil boat.
Well, that's an assumption you have to make. When you do something like this, there are risks involved. And when you involve in a war, there are risks involved. And when you employ the military, there are risks involved. You just have to accept it. War is not antiseptic. Yeah. It reminds me, basically, I'll give you a historical example. When the Romans and the Carthaginians fought before the time of Christ, they fought 3 Punic wars. Finally, the Russians got fed up. I'm not the Russians, excuse me. The Romans got fed up. And they went to Carthage, and they burned it to the ground. And that was the last time they fought with Carthage. And Carthage was eliminated as a Mediterranean power. You reach a point where enough is enough. You have to use your military. There are risks involved. Probably people are going to get hurt. But that's the reason you have militaries willing to fight. Yeah. And we've eliminated their air forces. We've eliminated some of the drones, most of the missile threat. It's just one of those events you're going to have to take under your belt and do it. And the president's been a wartime president, and I think he'll do that. And American people need to understand this is not antiseptic. There's going to be casualties.
Yeah, finishing it appropriately. I mean, if you can't leave, and as someone said last night, you can't knock the hornet's nest over and then walk away because it's going to be terrible politically. It's only going to inspire more chaos from Iran. If they can build this thing back from the ashes, that'll be a terrible future with that country. The Times of Israel reporting from officials in the mediating countries saying that Iran is not likely to capitulate, regardless of whether a ground invasion moves ahead. That this is, and I said the same thing. These are not the kinds of people, as we all know, jihadists are not the kinds of people that surrender. People that run this country. I wondered if at some point could you see, once Iran is effectively decimated enough, could we see something like Israel and the other Arab states like the Saudis coming together to secure Iran? We can mostly pull out and let the region secure a country that they all know is a threat?
Well, I don't think they'd secure the country because it's so darn large to do it. But you can eliminate their economic viability to do that. Like I said earlier, so the answer is yes. But you don't need to occupy terrain necessarily to control it. But the reason I say using the troops like this is, you know, there was a great book written in the Korean War after it, and they talked about using ground troops. You know, one of these days you have to put troops on the ground like the Romans did. You put your men in the mud, on the ground to do it. Secure the choke points, secure the Strait of Hormuz, secure the economic viability of Karg Island, and then you go from there. And then you hope for a change of government. Look, they're theocratic. They're all hardliners right now. Yeah. We keep eliminating them. But hopefully the people are going to rise up and say enough is enough. Remember, the Revolutionary Guards are different than the Army. The Army hasn't really been heard of yet. They're the same size. And you get the Army involved with Iran as well to secure the country. And then in the future, you hope it's going to be a normal country, for lack of a better word.
That's interesting. We have to see what happens. But Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, thank you for the expertise. We appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, our friend Dennis Prager is the founder and president of PragerU, and he is back with us tonight. Sir, it's good to see you again. I want to start with the war in Iran. We're at 4 weeks now. We haven't gotten your perspective on this at this point. Let's hear what you think about this war now entering its 4th week.
Iran is the greatest sponsor of terrorism on planet Earth. And their desire to create ballistic missiles with nuclear weapons attached is obvious. Here's a simple proof. They had assured us and the UN, they had sworn that they had no ballistic missile that could go beyond 2,000 kilometers. Well, then they attacked our base in the Indian Ocean, which was 4,000 kilometers away. They had lied by 100%. Their desire was to create a nuclear weapon and to attach it to ballistic missiles that could not only obliterate Israel, which is one of their great intents, but to attack Europe and America. If America is going to have its standing in the world against China and Russia, this was clearly the right thing to do.
Yeah. It's interesting that there's so much speculation about what Iran was capable of. There's so many that are against the war that say there was no threat from this country, and you just wonder, like, what have you not seen from Iran? Everything that they're possibly capable of, they exert, and they're trying to rapidly expand those capabilities. And it just, you know, this is not a president that likes pointless wars, that likes to mess around with military objectives that can fail. He made a reputation for himself by calling out the failures of wars like Iraq and Afghanistan and going after George W. Bush back in 2015 and 2016. I want to play Secretary of State Marco Rubio some sound from today. Take a listen.
Look at the Middle East. Look at the Middle East, guys. Every problem in the Middle East tracks back to Iran. Hezbollah, Iran. Shia militias that are destroying and threatening Iraq, Iran. Hamas, Iran. The Houthis, Iran. Assad when he was in Syria, Iran. Everywhere you turn, they're behind all of it. They are a destabilizing, dangerous, evil force.
A lot of people in MAGA, sir, don't buy that, or not buying what the administration is telling them. We had on Nancy Mace last night, Anna Paulina Luna. These are two ladies that really support the president, but they are not supporting the idea of perhaps a very limited troops on the ground style mission here. The president says he wants this done in a couple weeks, but they might have to go on the ground. What's your message to those that say that they're stopping it at troops on the ground? They're saying no way we should put anybody on the ground in Iran.
The lesson to be learned from the mistaken war in Iraq is not that we never intervene. It is that we intervene when it is the right thing to do for America and, for that matter, for the world. Whether we like it or not, America is a world power. And as I wrote many years ago, and people could find it on the internet, that if America is not going to be the world's policeman, which is what these people say we should not be, then who will be? Then if we're not, then China will be, or Russia will be, or the two of them will be. Tucker Carlson, who is the leader of this movement, Tucker Carlson has years ago, this well before the Iran war was an issue, he announced that anybody who defended the American dropping of the atom bombs on Japan was evil. Those were his words. Anyone who defended it. So obviously Harry Truman was evil, and the Catholic priest who defended the dropping of the bombs from a moral and religious perspective on a PragerU video that we made about 10 years ago. Yeah, I guess he's evil too. Yeah.
It's a falsehood. It's not based in reality. That war needed to end, and the threat of Iran needs to end as well. Dennis Prager, it's good to see you again, and we appreciate you coming on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up here, with billions in fraud uncovered for the first time in a long time, our government cares about protecting all the money that they take from your paycheck. Isn't that refreshing? J.D. Vance's new task force to prevent hundreds of billions in fraud up next. Then later in News from the Left, Zohran Mamdani's sympathies appear limited to Muslims and criminals.
Whenever news breaks.
A lot of destruction there. It was really the front lines in the battle.
And wherever it happens.
And humanitarian corridors opened up this morning.
We're trying to go rescue a 96-year-old lady that doesn't have anybody to take care of her.
They're using ingenuity. They refuse to give up.
It's incoming fire. Come on. Yeah, let's get down here.
Newsmax is there for you.
Oh no! Our water line broke. It could cost a fortune to get a contractor to come fix it, and it's not covered by homeowners insurance.
That's why you should have HomeServe.
It's Tom Merson, CEO of HomeServe.
When your water line breaks, HomeServe sends a qualified contractor to fix it and pays for the covered repairs.
With HomeServe, the American dream of owning a home doesn't need to be a nightmare.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
Call 1-833-559-6598 or visit homeserve.com.
Hungry is here, and I needed it because my fridge is super empty.
It's so easy to just whip together a quick, healthy meal.
Head to hungryroot.com for healthy groceries and simple recipes. Plus, get free veggies for life.
Make your tax refund go places at Blue Compass RV. Lock in lower rates now. New RVs from $98 a month. Every RV includes a VIP membership to RV Complete. Over $5,000 in value. Shop tax refund specials at Blue Compass RV.
If your dog struggles with stiff joints, low energy, messy poops, or an itchy coat, the cause might be sitting in your dog's food bowl right now. Kibble. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete, gently air-dried, packed with real canine superfoods to help your dog unlock puppy-like energy, smoother digestion, healthier joints, shinier coats, and more. Thousands have already made the switch. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
All right, welcome back. Congressman Randy Fine's office captured Senate Majority Leader John Thune hightailing it out of D.C. earlier today with a private escort through the airport. This after the Senate passed a DHS funding bill at 3 o'clock in the morning while the rest of us slept. To end the agency shutdown, all by voice vote from a handful of senators. No debate. It was just rammed through, leaving the SAVE Act, voter ID, only citizens voting, leaving all that in the dust as he took off out of Washington, D.C. Now, the bill the Senate passed excludes funding for ICE and Border Patrol, specifically immigration enforcement. That's exactly what Democrats wanted, because what else would you expect from the Republican Senate? But it is a bill that is going nowhere. The House is not going to take it up. The president is not going to sign it. As the Senate begins another vacation, a 2-week spring break, Senator Mike Lee, a major backer of the SAVE Act, one of the good guys in the Senate, hammering his Republican colleagues. Take a listen.
Senate Democrats are blocking the Save America Act. We remain captive to them at every turn. They put us further in debt and render our government incapable of performing even its most basic functions. The zombie filibuster and our addiction to it doesn't work. We've got to end it, and it's got to end now.
There you go right there from Mike Lee. Congressman Randy Fine joins us now, and you guys took the video of Thune leaving town. I saw your tweet, wanted to talk to you tonight. Fill us in on what exactly happened today. For those of us at home, a lot of people don't really understand how it all works. I still get confused by how you guys operate.
Well, I do too, and I've been here a year. Thanks for having me. Look, Democrats seem ruthlessly effective on using their power to inflict evil on the country. Too many Republicans seem content to just manage our decline. What happened here is in the middle of the night, I don't think with the knowledge of most of the senators, Thune put up a unanimous consent resolution that defunded ICE and defunded Customs and Border Protection. And they passed it. And then they all left. And we got word this morning that this had happened. That video that you saw was taken while my family was waiting in line to go home themselves, with me stuck here to do the work. And they're waiting in line, and then he goes scooting by. The fact of the matter is Republicans are not going to defund the police. We're going to protect the border. And what's insane is they wanted us to vote for a bill that would not pay the people that are investing human trafficking of little children. It's ridiculous. So tonight we will be sending back to the Senate a 60-day continuing resolution to fund all of ICE, all of Customs and Border Patrol, and everything else that the Department of Homeland Security is supposed to be doing.
And just so people know, Trump signed the executive order that's going to have the TSA agents are getting paid. So that part of the equation, which is what everybody kind of saw of this story, right, was the airport lines, that's done. So that's all going to be taken care of. It is something that, I mean, tell me about the Senate and what you've learned about the Senate in your year that you've been in the House and how they operate, because it is funny how they can make a lot of noise, and then as soon as it's time to go on vacation, everything can get figured out pretty quick. And that just really doesn't smell right to most Americans.
Well, they didn't figure it out. They folded. I mean, look, they have put in place something that I would call the tyranny of the minority, where you have to get 60 votes out of 100 to pass anything. This concept of filibuster, which, by the way, I've read the Declaration of Independence, I've read the Constitution. It's not mentioned in either of them anywhere. But they used to say if you don't like a bill, you can stand up and talk for as long as you want to try to stop it until you run out of steam, unless 60 out of 100 senators say they've listened to enough and they want it to end. Well, a few decades ago, they said, you know what, we're not even going to make people talk. You just say you don't like it. And if 60 people won't vote for it, we're going to kill the bill. That is being used to destroy so many good ideas that the overwhelming majority of Americans support. I have news for you. The overwhelming majority of Americans want us to crack down on human trafficking of kids. They want photo ID. They don't want men and women's sports. They don't want kids to get mutilated. But this 60 vote made up thing stops everything.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Was this a moment here? Because, I mean, you got Mike Johnson now behind the SAVE Act. What's going to happen here? Is there a chance that we could actually see voter ID required in our elections?
Well, I do, because I love wartime Mike Johnson, and that's what we saw today. I've been here a year. I've never seen him as angry as he was today, and I really like it. So I hope that continues. But I think that many House members are going to do our own filibuster. And our filibuster is we're not voting on any Senate bills until they pass the Save America Act. So they're going to need Republican votes in the House to pass what's important to them. We're telling them, you do what's important for the American people first.
And Trump indicating he's not going to sign anything. So even if it does sneak through the House, what's going to happen? He wants his SAVE Act. He wants his secure elections. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks so much. Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
All right, our government is about to do something it hasn't done in decades. Protect the money that it takes from your paycheck. J.D. Vance has got a plan. It's up next.
And who do you say that I am?
He is Jesus. To Christians, he's the Son of God. Watch Franco Zeffirelli's epic on the life, death, and resurrection of this man who changed the world. Watch Jesus of Nazareth.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. No mixing, filling, or storing your own syringes. Tirzepatide helps curb appetite and supports healthier eating by reducing cravings, including for sweets and carbs. And when your appetite feels under control, it can make it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. If weight loss has been on your mind, this may be the needle-free option you've been looking for. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint. Getting started is fast and surprisingly accessible. Just complete a quick online physician consultation. Here's how.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
So, here is a before of my stomach before Sono Bello, and this is after.
This year, don't just lose weight, lose stubborn fat and sagging extra skin permanently at Sono Bello.
I had some loose, wiggly skin, and it is no longer there thanks to Sono Bello.
Our expert surgeons use micro laser technology to safely target and remove your diet-resistant fat and tighten loose skin permanently.
I wanted the results of the tummy tuck, but not the downtime. I had a 10 out of 10 experience.
We've helped over 300,000 people transform, and we're proud to be America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist.
In just one visit, Sono Bello got rid of my love handles and my belly fat.
Do you want that flat stomach? You go get that flat stomach.
Call Sono Bello.
Get in there for your free consultation. Do this for you.
Schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. Our flexible payment options make it easy to get started today.
As a neurologist, my patients are often concerned with age-related memory decline. I recommend Cunol Brain Health with 2 powerful, high-absorption ingredients clinically shown to improve memory, focus, attention, and more. Cunol, the brand I trust.
No.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Isn't this great?
Yeah! Yeah. I can do a cartwheel in here.
Oh, hey! Would you like to join us?
No. We would love to join you.
They come over here and they steal $19 billion. We'll get it straightened out. It's happening. Our vice president is in charge of a new division. It's called the Fraud Division.
Fraud Division. Doesn't that sound wonderful? The president pledging earlier his VP Vance and the anti-fraud task force going to find the ungodly amounts of fraud being stolen from our overfunded, bloated, ridiculous $6 trillion, $7 trillion a year government. Outrageous. The newly formed task force held its first meeting earlier at the White House. Stephen Miller, RFK Jr., Markwayne Mullin, Brooke Rollins, Russ Vought, all in attendance. Journalists Nick Shirley and Benny Johnson there as well. Take a listen.
What we're going to actually do is force the bureaucracy to take this seriously and work together as political principles to make sure that we stop allowing fraudsters to steal the American people's money.
Stop this plague of fraud, criminality, and abuse. I think what's important for Americans to understand about how pervasive and widespread the fraud is that all of our systems were set up and established for a high-trust society.
They let hundreds of billions of your dollars that they force you to give them, they just let it be lit on fire, stolen, taken, wasted. How enraging is that? Vance revealing the DOJ has never had a specific task force to investigate fraud, ever. They don't care. And that the government has never prosecuted fraud under $1.5 million. So if you've wanted to steal like 500 grand, the government has been a great mark for the past several decades. Vowing to coordinate between all branches to end this nonsense is the new plan. Vance sat down for an interview with Benny Johnson, spoke about Somali fraud, spoke about the queen of the Somali fraudsters, our friend Ilhan Omar. Take a listen.
Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. She has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community.
Yeah, she married her brother to get him in, which means they both should go back. Benny Johnson is with us now. Good to have you. Good to see you again. Everywhere that gets investigated, they find billions of our dollars stolen. Nobody cares, and it's so infuriating. What did you witness today?
Yeah, I witnessed something that made my blood boil as an American taxpayer, that we are not too far away from this entire country just going completely over a cliff, Rob. And it sucks because I have kids here and I want to stay in America. I want to raise my kids as Americans. But if you bring in people who are not harmonious with Western civilization in a high-trust society, and then you give them the opportunity to simply write their name on a slip of paper and lie to the federal government, which is what Stephen Miller talked about today, and they can just lie about how many kids they have, what diseases their kids have, and there's no way to check. The federal government doesn't check. They just write a blank check to those states. And so that's how the Somali community gets away with it. And J.D. Vance revealed to me today in our 35-minute sit-down interview that there is no investigation of any fraud under $1.5 million. So you just might as well stroke. Boom, a $1.5 million check to anybody who wants to lie to the federal government. What kind of a message are you sending to our nation? I just want to thank you for playing that clip, by the way, about Ilhan Omar. That's the first time on the record that we have absolute and total confirmation that Ilhan Omar did, in fact, commit immigration fraud. And I looked this up right before coming on your show, that lying on your immigration forms or committing fraud against the United States of America is an immediate denaturalization offense. It is something that has been tried in court. It happens actually quite regularly where people lie to get into this country. They're denaturalized. They're sent home. It's something that must happen with Ilhan Omar. The rest of the clip, J.D. Vance says we're exploring this right now. But Stephen Miller has all of the available evidence, and I checked with DHS. This is 100% true. Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud to get into America and to loot our nation dry. And it is time that she suffer the consequences.
Get her out. Get her out. It's amazing. I don't have a lot of time, but and the Azerbaijani guy that stole $90 million from the government. Can you imagine that one person is able to steal $90 million from our government? It is mind-boggling how little the people that run this country care about the money that they steal from us.
Yeah, it is mind-boggling. I would encourage you to go and watch the full J.D. Vance interview. It's up on my YouTube account right now, at Benny Johnson. You'll find J.D. Vance saying that UFOs are actually demons and explaining the Christian theology of what UFOs and aliens actually are. He says he's going to take his top secret security clearance and head on down to Area 51, New Mexico, and Hangar 8 in Ohio and get the truth about the UFOs. Very interesting stuff. He has messages for Joe Rogan and Jimmy Kimmel. It was a wild interview. The Vice President was certainly on fire today. He was cooking.
We will certainly watch that one. Benny Johnson, good to see you. Thanks so much. All right, Gavin's big Axios interview next.
I'm trying to put a mirror up to Trump and Trumpism, and I want to call out the deviancy.
You know Rob Finnerty. He's smart, bold, and stands strong for your values. Rob is fighting for you. Watch Finnerty weeknights only on Newsmax.
Mike Hammond here, founder of Signal Relief. Meet Dr. Beth Dupree, breast cancer surgeon for over 35 years.
In my surgical career, I have treated thousands of patients, and finding effective pain relief has always been a priority. Believe me, I was skeptical, but Signal Relief caught my attention because it actually works. Clinical trials show over 85% of participants felt relief within 72 hours, with nearly half noticing a significant difference in just 15 minutes. Just place it near or above wherever you have the pain, whether it's your back, your shoulder, your neck, or your knee. Signal Relief Patch brings proven relief. I recommend it to my patients, family, and friends, and I get to witness and experience their pain relief firsthand, and that brings a smile to my face.
Join the hundreds of thousands who have experienced relief with the Signal Relief Patch, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Trust Dr. Dupree and me. The patch works.
He's breathing. Okay, we're good.
Nearly 5,000 people die from choking each year. That's frightening. I'm Dr. Ben Carson.
And I'm Arthur Lee. Well, there are ways to help prevent choking. Accidents do happen. That's why I invented the Life Pack.
Anyone can use this device, and it can save a life in seconds.
Just place, push, and pull. It's that simple. Please order one for your home, office, car, anywhere you eat.
Go to lifepack.net or call 877-543-3822.
Our #1 draft pick for colon cancer screening is the new Cologuard Plus test. With no prep and no time off work, it's got franchise player written all over it.
The Cologuard Plus test is not for those at high risk. False positive and negative results may occur.
My accountant, who uses unsecured email, has all my tax info.
Tax forms have all the personal info thieves need to steal your identity. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. LifeLock, for the threats you can't control.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
We right now will forever decide the fate of all government for mankind.
The Reverend George Whitfield has arrived from England to awaken the colonies.
Let's try something new. My friends, do you want to be free?
Liberty is a right given by God. We cannot let the sun set on this nation.
A Great Awakening. Rated PG-13. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary in theaters April 3rd.
You write a lot about how you often put on a mask when you were younger. Yeah. And then as you grew up, your face sort of molded into the mask.
It explains more things about who I am today than I ever understood. My anxieties, my insecurities, some strengths, weaknesses. I'm used to Trump attacking me 24/7, new scum, the whole thing.
He's so insufferable as a politician. It's so hard to watch. So the Gavin Newsom, the method that he's going to use here to try and become the leader of the Democrat Party, in addition to hollering out gay jokes, which is really going to come back and bite him in the butt. He's trying to, what is he trying to do? He's trying to become the leader of a party that is now obsessed with victimhood, that lives, it just tries to perpetuate this into everything. So you can't be the tall, handsome guy that was the frat boy, that was the cool kid in high school with the slick back hair that has a ton of money now, and get very far with a party that's obsessed with victimhood. So now what we have Gavin Newsom doing is sitting here trying to tell everybody that he had a tough childhood and he has all these issues and he can't really read, and I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. Ignore my hair, ignore all my money, ignore where I eat dinner and everything that I do and all the women I've dated. Dr. Michael Savage joins us now to talk about all of this. I mean, he's trying to sell himself in a manner that he can be electable to a party that does not like rich, handsome white guys that have had good lives.
With a beautiful wife and 4 beautiful children, by the way.
Yes.
He's the epitome of the American dream.
And he hates himself.
In many ways, he is. He has everything that the American dream promised in the 1950s, and yet he's disavowing the very American dream that everyone wanted. So he's saying, I'm really stupid. I have dyslexia. I'm a stumbly guy. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I should lead the whole world even though I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm insecure. That's not the real Gavin. I know Gavin Newsom better than most people in the media. I've known him for 30 years, not as Mr. Intimate personal friend. I've sat and talked with him. I was the second guest on his podcast, which I have to keep repeating. Charlie Kirk was the first guest. I was the second guest.
Yep.
I thought we had a wonderful 1-hour interview. I didn't just simply say yes. I gave him 16 hard questions. He's very smart. He's very glib. He can answer the questions, and I thought he was moving toward the center for about 6 months of this year, and he was winning a lot of favor from the moderates. And something happened to Gavin Newsom 2 or 3 months ago, I think, where he suddenly shifted to the radical left, which is a mistake. If you study the history of politics, he's moved to the left too quickly in this campaign.
Yeah.
I think, or just talking from that point of view.
Remember when he was cleaning up all the trash and it was all of a sudden it was like, oh, wow, California's going to get a nice scrubbing because this guy wants to be the next president. He can't have his state be a dump. You're right. He's moving back to the left because it's primary time. What I've learned about Gavin Newsom is that he doesn't care at all about the state he's running. He won't care about the country that he's running. All he cares about is his political viability. And he will do. I mean, I don't think he believes half the nonsense that he pushes. I think he's probably a fairly moderate, probably somewhat conservative guy because he's made a lot of money in his life. But he knows that he's created this, what he is out of political necessity. I don't think he actually cares about anything except himself.
His father, Judge Newsom, rest in peace, was a conservative Irishman from the Avenues. He even said that to me during the podcast. He said, my father would have agreed with you. In fact, I talked about it in the interview. I said, Gavin, when you were a mayor or supervisor and you came out in favor of gay marriage, I went to your father at a North Beach bar and I said, Judge Newsom, your son committed political suicide. He just came out in favor of gay marriage. And I called him Any Newsom Newsom at the time. Well, his father laughed. They're good-natured people, the father, anyway. And I said, guess what? After it passed, Gavin's star rose. And I said to the judge afterwards, I said, we were both wrong. So, moving to the left may not be the stupidest thing he can do in a country that's really stupid, filled with liberals who seem to be mentally disordered, who are in favor of the criminal, not the people. We can go down the whole list. I can read the entire list. It would be like playing the organ right now, and you'd hear the fugue in the church, but you've all heard it before. They're on the wrong side of everything.
They are. I got to leave it there just based on time, but I think we have him pegged, and it really is scary because he's got a good shot in 2028. Is what I'm feeling. I got to leave it there.
I think he could be the front runner. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dr. Savage, good to see you. House refusing to take up the Senate's version of the DHS funding bill. Mike Johnson hinting that the House bill may include voter ID as well. Dick Morris, advisor to President Trump, joins us now. What did you make of all of this craziness? It started with TSA lines and then it moved over to the DHS. This is how people have been perceiving this. What's your thoughts?
Well, thank God for the Democratic Party, because Trump is a good president, but he's not a perfect one, and he makes some mistakes along the way. And the Democrats have systematically failed not just to exploit any of his mistakes, but have still magnified those mistakes for themselves. They literally closed the whole country down at a time when airports most need security were posing the global leader of terrorism, Iran. They're deploying terrorism as their tactic, and yet he continues to talk about defunding the TSA, the very agency that's protecting us against terrorism. And it's interesting that in the most recent Gallup poll, while Republicans still trail Democrats in perceptions of who would be the better candidate to control the country, that advantage has been cut in half. And people are learning that however bad you think the Republicans are, the Democrats are worse. And the standard they're setting for governance in this country is unbelievably low.
That's exactly right. Dick Morris, good to see you. Thanks so much. Good points. All right. The smelly frat boys stumped by CNN up next.
the rest of it.
That's right.
And yet Democrats said no.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Cunol Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric that helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Cunol, the brand I trust.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Is it just the mustache? No, it's all of it. It's the way he brings me breakfast, made from scratch every day. And it's the way he brings me a fresh cup of Black Rifle coffee.
Honey, you having a Riley Green dream again?
Just give me 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Honey, Riley's taking me duck hunting.
Oh, come on!
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside of me.
Science didn't stop at diet and exercise. Why would you? Super Beats by Human delivers blood pressure support with clinically researched ingredients. Because cardiovascular health is everything health. Available at your local Costco.
All right, welcome back. Time now for news from the left. Eric Swalwell can even be stumped by friendly TV networks. Take a look.
Why don't we just fund TSA?
In the offer that Senate Republicans brought to you a few days ago, there was a plan. Republicans want the SAVE Act in a reconciliation package and fund the rest of it.
That's right.
And yet Democrats said no.
Oh, okay. Why don't we just fund TSA? Well, the host just told you had the chance and you didn't want to do it. I don't think he expected that on CNN. The smelly frat boy, Eric Swalwell, that's probably going to end up being the governor of California. Oh, that's terrifying. That's the reality of a solid blue state, though. The worst, dumbest candidate is going to win every time. Next up, Mayor Mamdani's sympathies only seem strong for a select few. Right now, he's very upset over a criminal who died in custody at Rikers Island in New York. Posting on X, he's deeply troubled to learn that a person in custody died on Rikers this morning. My thoughts are with their loved ones who are now facing an unimaginable loss. It went on and on from there. The criminal who died, Barry Cozart, held on a November 14th arrest for criminal trespass, burglary, mischief, petty larceny. Police say that this man had been arrested more than 20 times. Yes, this is one of the perpetual criminals in our society. Charges of burglary, robbery, criminal possession of controlled substance, domestic violence. All this guy has done with his life in his 39 years is commit crimes. And yet this is who Mamdani mourns. You don't hear him mourning victims in our city. Every time somebody is victimized, you don't get a tweet for that. But somebody dies at Rikers who's been, arrested 20 times? That's the tragedy to him. Because again, these Marxists, they view the criminals in society as the real victims. They victimize you, you're just damaged, whatever. They don't care about you. the criminal is the victim. That's how they see it. That and anything with Islam is the only thing this guy cares about. That's our mayor. And finally, a classic airport moment from Chicago. A lefty lunatic, of course, a white liberal, enraged over ICE helping with TSA. Watch the video and enjoy the reactions from our proud ICE agents, I should say. Take a look.
You guys are the foot soldiers of a fascist regime, right? Is that not what it is? Is that funny? Is that funny?
Well, the reality of ICE at our airports is that was very enjoyable to watch. An ICE agent saving the life of a 1-year-old boy who stopped breathing in his dad's arms while in line at JFK this week. Agent responding to the medical emergency after the father scrambled to find help, and an ICE agent saved a life right there. There you go. And good on those officers for laughing in that idiot's face. All right, up next, a manhunt for an illegal immigrant driver who killed a man and took off. We're going to speak to locals in New Jersey about their governor as she makes it as hard as possible for ICE to find the driver.
Closed captioning brought to you by Magna Life Relaxing Leg Cream PM for a good night's sleep.
The discomfort in your legs at night is real. Here's what real customers have to say about Magna Life Relaxing Leg Cream. It's a lifesaver if you have restless legs.
Available at your local retailer. Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, Bat.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Your tax refund is in, and at Blue Compass RV, it's going places. Shop 100+ locations, over 15,000 new and used RVs. Lock in lower rates with new RVs from $98 a month. Shop tax refund specials at Blue Compass RV.
Hungry Root is here, and I needed it because my fridge is super empty.
It's so easy to just whip together a quick, healthy meal.
Head to hungryroot.com for healthy groceries and simple recipes. Plus, get free veggies for life.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. Sono Bello changed that in one visit.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit, total body transformation everyone is talking about.
I am super happy with my results.
I decided to give Sono Bello a try. Look at me, I have a silhouette. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is Sono Bello's breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative. Our body contouring experts sculpt, tighten, and lift your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside, all in just one visit with less downtime.
Sono Bello targeted the areas diet exercise could not do. I found me again.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 5-star reviews, and Lift EX is exclusively available at Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist. Book your free, personalized consultation today. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever.
This year is my year thanks to Sono Bello.
Call Sono Bello for your free consultation today.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. No mixing, filling, or storing your own syringes. Tirzepatide helps curb appetite and supports healthier eating by reducing cravings, including for sweets and carbs. And when your appetite feels under control, it can make it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. If weight loss has been on your mind, this may be the needle-free option you've been looking for. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint. Getting started is fast and surprisingly accessible. Just complete a quick online physician consultation. Here's how.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
Pump up the volume.
Go ahead. Crank the volume. We got you. USPS has increased daily package processing capacity by 46% in the past 5 years. And with USPS Ground Advantage, your packages stay in our secure network, dock to door, nationwide. For full visibility, near real-time tracking, affordable pricing, for peace of mind. USPS Ground Advantage.
Finally tonight, a manhunt in Jersey for an illegal who ran over and killed an innocent man and then fled the scene. As the state's governor continues to mock and harass ICE, signing sanctuary state executive orders blocking local police from cooperating with them. New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew posting in New Jersey, an illegal alien killed somebody in a hit and run and is now on the loose. ICE is trying to track him, but New Jersey's Immigrant Trust Directive makes it harder. Today, our producer Brent went to Morristown, New Jersey, finding exclusive footage of that fatal crash and speaking with residents. Take a listen.
Authorities are 1 week into their manhunt for an Ecuadorian illegal migrant accused of fatally mowing down an elderly pedestrian and fleeing the scene, right where I'm standing in Morristown, New Jersey. Footage of the fatal crash, exclusively obtained by Newsmax, shows the 68-year-old pedestrian crossing the street when the suspect makes a right and runs him over. Some of the footage was left out because it is disturbing. The suspect is then seen checking under his vehicle, and after discovering that he had just run over a human body, he flees on foot.
Camera from my house caught it on video. I never knew that what guy was illegal. I seen him around town.
As this manhunt's going on, Governor Mikey Sherrill signed executive action this week saying that local police cannot coordinate with federal immigration officials.
She needs to be cooperative with the ICE.
She needs to take a step back and realize that Trump is doing a very good job.
You can't separate the different law enforcement agencies. We learned that in 9/11.
We need to let ICE in.
Coordinate with anybody to catch those people. There's a lot of people here that's illegal. I lived in Morristown most of my life. The whole town didn't change.
You came into this country, you were supposed to assimilate to this, to the way we are.
Who is this?
I know the face, but I don't know who it is under the, I don't know.
I have no idea.
It looks like Mikey Sherrill.
It's Mikey Sherrill.
Is that Mikey Sherrill? No, I don't know.
That's the governor of your state.
She's playing the part.
Just because it's Ramadan, don't come dressed up in a hijab. She's a politician. She's going to do what she's got to do.
She's not Muslim, and you're talking to a woman who lost her husband in the World Trade Center. Immigrants have more rights than citizens. It's disgraceful.
It is something else. You've got, you have a state that has a clear problem with this, with immigration, and you have a governor that has zero interest whatsoever in helping ICE to do the job. You got to, if we have that video, I don't know if we have it, but the video of the hit and run, it is terrible. We had to edit it for you, but you have that, and in the face of that, as this man has been killed by an illegal immigrant, and then you have a governor that's saying, we're going to make it as hard as possible for ICE to find that person and to take him into custody. It is something else. There's a picture right there of the man that's being looked for in New Jersey tonight, and there's some of the video right there. All right, that's all the time we have for tonight. Finnerty is up next, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night. Have a good weekend.